Hello horror fans and welcome back to the Scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos, the place where eldritch energy swallows itself from the abyss into an infinite cosmic cascade of life, death and, well, some really spooky stuff. What's going on guys? As always, I'll be your spirit guide Jack Finch as we don our ceremonial robes, light the candles upon the altar, and in his house at R'lyeh, dead Cthulhu waits dreaming in the top 5 scariest Lovecraftian monsters.
Defeat my fancy. It is man's relation to the cosmos, to the unknown, which alone arouses in me the spark of creative imagination.
God damn, I just love H.P Lovecraft and everything that he spawned, every weird little nuance and horrific tick and twisted cosmic entity that somehow made its way from his strange, uniquely creepy brain through his pen and down to the page for all of us to enjoy. I'm going to say H.P Lovecraft is the godfather of all things horror. Well, what better way for us all to pay tribute to him than to scour the bestiary and pick out the creepiest of the creepy. Before we do that though folks, you know the drill by now. If you're a fan of this video, H.P Lovecraft, Cthulhu, or just top 5 scary videos in general, then be a dear and hit that thumbs up button as well as that subscribe bell so you can stay up to date with our latest and greatest uploads. On with the show. One thing's for sure, you won't find Cthulhu on this list because, come on guys, we're better than that. Kicking off at number 5, Kethu. And what better way to start off this list than with the mother of all old gods herself, Kethu, also known as Kethu, or as a much more horrifying title, the birth womb of the great old ones. This twisted, pulsating mass of a mother was created by James Ambule, with its one and only appearance in the 1998 short story, Correlated Contents, which makes the very little that we do know about it even more terrifying. It poses the question, what does this hulking cosmic entity have in store for us? Well, Kethu appears as a colossal conglomeration of innards spanning the size of a large planetary body. Imagine the planet Mars, but instead of a rocky desert-like surface, it's made up of skin and flesh and whatever else lies beneath. Kethu possesses a strange slimy outer surface covered in countless thousands of pulsating pustules, which in fact are biological incubators, each containing a great old one in its larval stage. Basically, each one of its warts contains a small, sprightly little baby Cthulhu, or worse, and it's currently unknown how often these entities reach maturity. Hopefully for us, it's not a regular occurrence. Gross, right? Next up at number 4, Groth, which kind of sounds like the sound you make when you do a sick burp, right? Groth, also known as the Harbinger, is an all-powerful outer god that floats without purpose across the endless cosmic abyss like some malevolent, omniscient nuclear karaoke ball. Groth is the size of a moon and coloured in a rusty shade of orange, all encompassed by an enormous, terrifying red eye, which often closes to avoid the detection of any nearby hostile entities. It has appeared twice in the Cthulhu mythos, first in the 1976 short story The Tugging by Ramsey Campbell, and later in 2004 in the Call of Cthulhu RPG game splat book The Stars Are Right. Groth spends eternity simply drifting throughout the cosmos while terrifyingly singing its strange song, the music of the spheres. It serves a simple function. Whenever Groth nears a planet, any dormant great old one or outer god on the world will respond to its song and awaken, almost always resulting in the destruction of the planet, the annihilation of all life, or both. In one Lovecraftian instance, Groth was indirectly responsible for awakening the great old one known as the worm that gnaws in the night, who proceeded to consume the alien planet of Shagai from the inside out. Pretty metal, eh? Coming in at number 3, Shubniggurath. You betcha, aka the black goat of the woods with 1,000 young, an outer god who is the very definition of how messed up the Lovecraftian universe can get. Just like Kethu, she is a perverse fertility deity responsible for belching forward some of the vilest creatures in the whole of the Cthulhu mythos. She appears as an evil cloud-like entity, an enormous mass which extrudes black tentacles, slime-dripping mouths, and more strangely than any other, short, writhing goat legs. She is the wife of the not-to-be-named one, don't ask, and the wife of Yog-Sothoth, who spawned forth the twins Nub and Yeb. Across the entire mythos, Shubniggurath is probably the most extensively worshipped by hundreds of twisted alien cultures and even druidic and barbaric cults on Earth. Her dark young are horrifying, pitch black monstrosities seemingly comprised of ropey tentacles who stand as tall as a tree on a pair of stumpy, you guessed it again, hoofed legs. Also, her milk, yes, you heard that correctly, her milk is often used in cult ceremonies, mutating those that drink it into fierce spawns of her brood. Nevertheless, she's seen as one of the most horrific creatures in horror fiction, being referenced several times by both Stephen King and Terry Pratchett, even making her way referentially into the Doctor Who universe. She's a pretty big deal, put it that way. Next up at number 2, Wilbur Whateley. This guy makes my number 2 spot simply because when I first read The Dunwich Horror, a short story by H.P Lovecraft written way back when in 1928, for me, he was the most terrifying character throughout the whole damn thing, even more so than his twin brother, the titular Dunwich Horror, who, if we're being honest, was just the sad, misunderstood result of a mad woman and an outer god. Have some sympathy, guys. Wilbur Whateley was born in the rural town of Dunwich, Massachusetts, near the city of Arkham, where most Lovecraftian fiction takes place. The date of his birth was noted as the night before the hills rumbled and the dogs barked incessantly, which was telling because dogs continued to show an instinctual hatred for Wilbur the remainder of his life. Good job, doggos. We can always rely on you. Let's not glean over it. Wilbur Whateley was a pretty ugly dude. The reason being that, well, he was made up of outer godness. As a child, he was described as a dark, goatish looking infant and displayed an unnatural physical and mental development. He could walk unassisted at 7 months and talk at 11 months. At the age of 4, he began growing facial hair. If you've seen the 1970 B movie, then you'll know what we're getting at, because that final reveal where Wilbur disintegrates into the floor, yeah, that's not nice. And finally, at number 1, Nyarlathotep. Because let's be real, no other entity in the Cthulhu mythos is as innately evil as our good old friend Dr. Nyarlathotep. The big bad himself, the ancient evil that walks on 2 legs and has many names. The Black Wind, the Crawling Mist, the Haunter of the Dark, the God of the Bloody Tongue. You may not know it, but this guy is pretty much the culmination of every evil fictional overlord since his first appearance in Lovecraft's 1920 prose poem of the same name. He is a creature that carries many masks, but usually appears as a tall, handsome, joyous man with welcoming features. All of this is a ruse, however, as told in 1932's The Dreams in the Witch House. He has 1,000 other forms that will immediately invoke madness to whoever witnesses him. It's strange because out of most of the outer gods who are evil and all-powerful but never really demonstrate a clear purpose or agenda, Nyarlathotep seems to be deliberately deceptive and manipulative, operating a clear agenda to achieve his twisted goals and making him the most human-like amongst all the outer gods. His one true goal is to spread madness, which is more enjoyable than death and destruction, and it is often suggested in the Cthulhu mythos that eventually he will destroy the entirety of the human race while laughing like a madman. Well, let's hope not, eh? Unfortunately, folks, that's all we've got time for in today's video. Cheers for sticking around. Be sure to hit that thumbs up button if you're a fan of this video, and ding that subscribe bell to stay up to date with your daily dose of horror. As per usual, I've been your host, Jack Finch. You've been watching Top 5 Scary Videos, and until next time, you take it easy.